A senior federal official tells ABC News security plans for the Republican National Convention are now being re-examined to determine whether any changes need to be made. ABC News senior justice reporter Jack Date joins me now for more on that. Jack, how worried are security officials about safety at the convention in light of yesterday's attack?
Well, clearly, what happened yesterday is among one of the worst case scenarios for security planners, that a lone wolf type scenario would take place, that a gunman would have an elevated position and get that close to a protectee. So clearly everything's on the table as we head into the convention this week. They're going to have to reassess everything. The convention itself is designated as a national special security event. The Secret Service has been spending, many months, over a year, planning this, along with state and local officials and all their federal partners. The police presence, the security presence is massive. The police and federal agents in the thousands will be in. Many have already descended on Milwaukee. The perimeter that they have secured is massive, but they're going to have to look at everything to make sure it's enough, because as we saw yesterday, whatever their procedures were in that event, it wasn't enough, and they're going to take another look.
So, Jack, what are you watching for now as the convention gets started tomorrow?
Well, I think you can anticipate what we'd already anticipated was, frankly, a very visible presence of law enforcement. I think that's going to be stepped up even more, if you can imagine it. So with again, hundreds of police officers descending on Milwaukee, I know that just about every federal agency you can name is there. But also, they're getting help, not just from the Milwaukee PD, which is a partner in this, but also outside partners. Police officers from Minnesota are coming down. Police officers from Chicago are coming in. They are going to have an enormous amount of manpower to keep the perimeter secure. But there's also areas that are adjacent to the convention where people who are attending will be staying in hotels or attending other events that are just outside that perimeter. And so those are probably going to get a closer look as well to see if security needs to be stepped up in those areas as well, because what they're really hoping to do is get through the week without this convention being marred by any more security incidents.
All right, Jack Date, thank you. And I want to bring in Brad Garrett, our contributor and former FBI agent, to talk a little bit more about the security questions now being raised. And the big question, Brad, is how did this happen? What's your reaction to seeing something like this and now hearing a little bit more about the timeline? Is this something the Secret Service should have been able to prevent?
Well, I don't know enough information, Diane, to actually answer that. But you have to look at these things realistically from the standpoint of, what manpower do you have? How big an area do you have to cover? And it sounds like, only based on what has been talked about publicly, they had cleared that building. They had talked to the folks that own that building and apparently had blocked off the parking lot to it. So did this guy sneak in? He obviously got himself to the roof and was able to fire a number of shots before he was actually killed. And so I don't know. Your law enforcement is always second guess, Diane, when it comes to these things. Secret Service may find that they did have a lapse in reference to that building, but I will tell you, it is just chaos getting these things organized where you have everybody in place, because there are so many moving parts. There's so many people involved. And so we'll have to see. But what troubled me when I looked at this last night is that he just really wasn't very far away. I was thinking initially he was so far out the zone that you probably couldn't even realistically see him. Maybe he had a scope or whatever. So that wasn't the case. I mean, he was like 400 feet away. And so to your point, does that seem like a real security breach? I think that's a possibility.
And, Brad, I'm out of time, but quickly, what did you make of the response once those shots were fired?
Well, I think it was quick. I mean, obviously, the Secret Service snipers are scanning every place around where the crowd was formed in front of former President Trump. And maybe they looked over there. Maybe he got up there quickly, dropped down, and started firing. But once they realized it, then they shot him. So my guess is they did it as quickly as they reasonably could. I mean, you had to locate him first. Sounds like the Secret Service sniper wasn't far away and was easily able to take a shot.
All right. A former FBI agent, Brad Garrett. Brad, thank you.